I got instantly irate with her. And I remember walking out to the car to go to the laundromat and standing next to the car going, what the heck is going on inside me right now? Welcome back to Whole Wellness. My name is Ann, and as you can see, I still have not splurged on the $8 it costs for a replacement pair of driving gloves. Truthfully though, aside from that little hole in my thumb and that hole in my finger, which can easily be stitched up, they're perfectly fine. So why would I spend the money? I should probably just stitch them up, right? Okay, so you guys know that the recent vlog I uploaded pertaining to the discovery I have had that I am a highly sensitive person has kind of blown my mind. Boy, it's cold, and I'm sorry, my camera's bouncing all over the place because my car's bouncing all over the place because it got warm, a bunch of the snow and the ice in my neighborhood melted, then it got freezing cold and everything froze, and there's all these ruts and bumps and stuff. So I'm kind of going slow so as not to knock my camera over. Happy Monday, by the way. I'm vlogging this on Monday, but by the time you see it, it may be that I am well on my way to the south and the tropics. I call it the tropics, where I used to live in Florida. We save a pretty penny by driving, and neither my husband nor I mind driving. We enjoy the relaxation. We listen to audiobooks. We just really enjoy the leisurely pace, staying in a hotel with the continental breakfast and the pool and all the amenities and feeling luxurious for a little while. Whereas flying, though it works, when you have time constraints, it can be very stressful. Hurry up and wait. So we just as soon drive. And the drive only winds up being stressful if we take I-75, the interstate. We take a different route sometimes, and this trip is definitely going to be the other route because last year when we drove it, of course, it was around Christmas time. Anyway, getting back to the topic, discovering that I'm an HSP. So the more learning I've done and the more education I've had, a lot of explanation, a lot more reasons for why things are the way they are, especially why I struggle. It used to be pre-counseling that I believed that I was just kind of this reject kind of weirdo, didn't really fit into society and never knew why. Then I got counseling, kind of started to understand my past a little bit more and get perspective about a lot of why I do the things that I do and why I think the way I think. Now that years have passed and I've had more education and more experiences, the more things make sense. And discovering that I'm an HSP hit me like a bomb at the end of this last vlog. I was genuinely going to vlog about the struggles we have in the current day and how we can look to the past and our experiences. That might seem like a duh thing to some people, but a lot of the times we don't think of that. I certainly didn't pre-counseling. And then I got vlogging. I thought, oh gosh, I'm gonna throw in that bit about the drama that had been going on at work and, use that as an example because I was separately gonna vlog about that incident and how it was affecting me. And then the whole puzzle came together at the end of that vlog when I realized that not going to that luncheon and the reasons why, like my true feelings about it, and the tension I felt subliminally because of or as a result of these other two managers' drama and dispute that was going on were directly related to my past and the tension that I felt as a child that always existed in my home because I did not grow up in a safe home. I was educating myself recently about HSP after I vlogged that video, and my mind was just blown by how accurately this described me and how ignorant I've been. Okay, I'm on lunch now and I can continue what I started to tell you this morning. Essentially, I started to tell you about how my siblings would disagree or their jaws would drop if they heard me say that I grew up in a very unsafe home, an unpredictable home, a very chaotic home. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because their experiences in no way were the same as mine. Every single person is born with a different biological makeup, and then their environment and their individual experiences shape their personality. So no two people are going to have the exact same opinion or perspective about something. A lot of how we develop and what role we might get assigned in our family of origin has to do with how we respond to or how we interact with the other people or contributors to circumstances in our homes. All that to say that every single one of the members of my family of origin has a different experience because they were born under different circumstances. And when I think back to my family and the roles we each played, my oldest brother was the narcissist. But then there's the golden child. He was victimized by the oldest brother. And then you have me. So you have male, male, female with a controlling dad, possibly covert narcissist, and possibly bipolar mom who grew up in trauma herself, very jealous of the daughter. Both parents dumping their trauma onto the children and the older siblings filtering down the abuse of the younger siblings. So it hits me. And then there's a break of 4 years before the next child is born. And then bam, 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 there's 3 more. Now, my sister, the next one in line, I've often thought of as the forgotten child. And that is the role that I believe she was assigned. But I feel to a certain extent that even my 2 younger brothers that came after her are also forgotten children. And so even though there is this clear set of roles for the older siblings, the younger ones almost collectively seem to have been forgotten. But the roles are so specific for the older children, and I see them so clearly. The oldest brother being the narcissist, the second oldest brother being the golden child, me being the scapegoat, my younger sister being the forgotten child, and then potentially the youngest 2 boys, also forgotten children. We all were born with different biological makeup, and so our being raised in the home we were raised in affected us differently. Because we each had a different biological makeup and then assumed these roles that our parents had given us, grew up into these adults with all of these different struggles in our lives today. And I never, ever anticipated discovering at this point in my life that I am an HSP. I remember talking to my counselor and asking him right before I graduated counseling if he felt like I should get additional help. I told him that I was uncomfortable leaving counseling because let's be real, I had a lot of self-doubt still. I was still working through a lot of stuff. And I told him I was nervous. I had felt like I had come so far, but I wasn't sure about launching out on my own free of counseling. And I remember him very clearly and strongly stating that he does not believe that there is anything wrong with me, that I just need to keep doing what I'm doing and taking what I've learned in counseling and applying it to daily life in the current day. I will forever be grateful to my counselor, who I definitely believe 100% that he had my best interest at heart when I was seeing him. I remember as a child being teased relentlessly by my siblings, especially my 2 older brothers, but also my parents and others, about my crying. Even in the present day, I find it really easy to cry. whenever I can relate to someone else on an emotional level or an intimate level, even if it's just a commercial I'm watching, if it's something that's sad, even if it's something super happy and someone else is crying, I'll cry. I find it very easy to cry. I can't cry on purpose. That's the interesting thing. I have tried before because when I was younger, I thought I should be an actor, and I can't cry on demand. There has to be something I'm thinking of. There has to be some sort of emotional connection to get me to cry. But when there is, the tears flow like Niagara. So it's never been a surprise to me when someone has called me sensitive. But at the same time, there's been this string attached, this condition attached in my adult life when people have accused me of being too sensitive or overly sensitive, or basically implied, suck it up, buttercup. I have taken offense in my adult life to being accused of that because there's been certain situations where I have not felt as though I was being emotional or unreasonably responding. I have felt that whatever it was very unjust. And so as a result, it's caused me a great deal of anger or resentment. But that's not the same thing as being sensitive. And so, yes, I am sensitive emotionally, but I am also very sensitive to injustice. And for those of you who have been around whole wellness for a while, you won't be surprised to hear the story of when my husband and I went to Florida for Christmas break last year. And I shared the story of my mother-in-law asking, do you need a laundry basket? Do you need a laundry basket? As I was trying to talk to my husband and I was trying to find my laundry and my coins, and I got instantly irate with her, unreasonably. And I remember walking out to the car to go to the laundromat and standing next to the car going, what the heck is going on inside me right now? Because I just remember my blood pressure going from 0 to 100 in seconds. It was one of those moments where I felt it was incredibly important to pay attention to what was going on inside of me right now, what exactly had happened, because I didn't understand it. All I knew is I was angry. But I was able to come to the conclusion that I was overstimulated. And when I went back and applied the overstimulated aspect to my work situation right now and how I feel in the summer when it's super busy and I have to share an office with 2 other people and it's not confidential or quiet, we can't close it and focus, and people are coming in and coming out and coming in because file cabinets are stored in our office, and how I realize I actually get overstimulated in our office too at work. And when I get out of work during the summer, how incredibly drained I am, and I can't talk to anybody. I can't see anybody. That's why getting outside and going on bike rides, hikes, swims, beach days is so incredibly important to me, because it's my healing. It's my medicine. It's my prescription. It's my therapy. I joke about it, but it's real. And then I was vlogging about this stuff happening during the slow season in the wintertime at work, and trying to put the pieces together of not being my authentic self, not wanting to spend time with people outside of work, and feeling a little intimidated or scared of a couple people at work because I don't feel safe around them for whatever reason, because of experiences I've had with them at work, them giving me the indication that they're not truly safe for me. And the drama and tension that for once does not involve me, how I felt like I got sucked in, even though it wasn't regarding or pertaining to me. Being a highly sensitive person is so much more complex than I ever thought. And I'm starting to do a lot more research on it. Case in point, the triggering job, one of the big reasons why I kept my distance from Beth, the former coworker. That woman was so loud and so rambunctious and so boisterous on the job that she scared me. From the very get-go, I don't know if you remember me telling you the story of within a very few probably 3 days of me starting that job, how I was standing back at the coffee pot getting myself coffee. No one else was in the office, and she comes in and she blows through the door. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you came to work for us. I think you're just the best, and blah, blah, blah. She came on too strong. And I went, freeze, fawn, flight. And I retracted from her with my arms up like that, just like I did when I was a kid and my 2 older brothers would victimize me and I ran scared the other direction, or tried to. I cannot even begin to explain the depth of fear that I felt, which I've never been able to say before with that woman, working with her. But I'm an introvert at heart. Biologically, I'm a sensitive person. I was born a super empath, and I'm an HSP. I grew up in a chaotic environment. I grew up watching my back. I grew up feeling like I was going to be attacked at any given moment. I hid out in my room. I related to fictional television programs, imagining that I was Laura Ingalls Wilder and that my family and my siblings loved me and cared for me and had my back. I grew up thinking that Grizzly Adams, who loved animals and loved the outdoors and was a very kind, strong man, I grew up imagining that he was either my dad or my husband. I don't even remember. Or maybe I imagined both scenarios. That's what I remember. I remember escaping to my bedroom and drawing fantasy art. I remember fantasizing about different boys when I was younger and how we would run away together and live a happy life and how our life would be. I completely detached from my world all the time when I was a kid, up through and including my teenage years, puberty, and young adulthood. I still do it to this day. I detach. I have a lot more research to do on HSP. I think that at some point in time, I'm going to probably consider myself an expert, because this is the one area in my life where I can say I relate to that. I relate to those experiences. I relate to that reaction. I relate to those conditions. I had an incredibly anxious childhood. I never remember feeling relaxed, peace, comfort. There might have been a time when I was a child when I had my chores done and dad was at work, and so I was in my room relaxing, listening to music, and probably felt comfortable and safe, but it certainly was not the norm. Growing up, I never felt like I could let my hair down. Be me, be honest, relax, embrace life, and feel joy. Only in the present day have I begun to feel that. And that's pretty darn sad. However, it's also incredibly freeing. And I'm going to be doing a lot more work on this in the coming weeks. I'm 100% sure. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Whole Wellness with Ann. I hope you guys have learned something from this video and my life. I'll see you next time.